Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Let's read a chunk of this. Can we? We won't read the whole thing. We'll read in the middle. Verse 14 through 30. Verse 14 through 30. Yeah, that'll work. Matthew 25. I call this, I want you, you've heard, I've preached this. Tremendous parable. I call this a slow servant. A slow servant. Matthew 25, verse 14. He writes, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. Now here's what you're going to be tempted to do. You're going to try to keep up with the math. And I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying for the sake of what I'm trying to communicate to you, everybody gets an amount of talents. But I don't want you to focus on that. I don't want you to get distracted by that. But of course we read, unto one he gave 5 talents, verse 15. To another 2, and to another 1. To every man according to his several ability. God knows the strength that you have. He knows what you can do. That's what makes the judgment so terrifying. That you're going to get to God and go, man, I did all I could. And God's going to go, oh yeah? I know you could have done more. You're going to go, well, I didn't really feel that way. That doesn't matter how you feel. God knows your several ability. He knows. You and I need to be doing what we know He wants us to do. Not what we want, not what we're comfortable with. Verse 16. Verse 15 ends and says, straightway took his journey. Then, verse 16, he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. Likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. Verse 18, but he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time. After a long time. The Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came, brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. Well, he was able to do that because God knew what he could do. And he did what he could do. And he didn't say, well, I'll just gain 1, because gaining 1 would be good, right? Better. And then if he compared himself to the first guy and said, well, he didn't gain anything. I got 5, gained 1, that's 6. That's not how God works. God's not going to judge you based upon what somebody else does. He judges you and I based upon what he knows we can do. Verse 21, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. 5, a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Look up here. Remember how many talents God handed out? 5, 2, and 1. Right? 5, 2, and 1. When the guy with 5 answered to the Lord, to the steward, he said, you have been faithful over a few things. Well, that was the biggest group, right? 5, 2, and 1. Right? Verse 22, he also that had received 2 talents came, said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord, verse 23, said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. Over a few things. He said, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Verse 24, then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man reaping where thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. His Lord, verse 26, answered and said unto him, thou, he calls him wicked. He said, thou wicked. You don't need much explanation for that, do you? But then he uses the word slothful. He said, thou wicked and slothful. And slothful means slow. Slow. God wants us to obey Him as soon as we can. Not when we want to. It might be a long time. It says there, you read with me, verse 19, after a long time. It might be a long time, and it might not be. But He's coming back, and we're going to answer. And it's very important that we're not slow about it. He says in verse 26, his Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, slow servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming. I'm reading this way on purpose. I hope you're getting it. Verse 27. He said, and then at my coming. How many of you believe the Lord's coming back? How many of you believe He could come back in your lifetime? How many of you believe He may not come? He may not come in our lifetime, but that does not excuse how we should serve Him. Because either way, we're going to stand before Him. He said, then at my coming, verse 27, I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. Verse 29, for unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This parable is very simple. This parable is telling us what we should be doing while we wait for Jesus to come. How many of you believe Jesus is coming back? Say, you already asked us this. I'm asking the questions. How many of you believe Jesus is coming back? How many of you believe He could come back in your lifetime? If you and I really believe that, then we must, based upon other scripture, tonight specifically Matthew 25, we need to be busy while we wait. We can't be, in other words, verse 26, he says to the one who had the one, didn't do anything about it, he said, thou wicked and slothful servant. So while we're waiting, we're supposed to be working for the Lord. This is a warning in this parable. He's warning against being lazy. He's warning about being inactive. Why? Because Christ is coming. Say, you believe He already came? Nope. You believe we're in a tribulation? Nope. Say, why do you believe that? Because I'm reading the Bible. He's coming back. And when He comes back and takes Christians out of here, all hell will break loose. It'll be fine for 3.5 years. There are those that contend, and I've argued with them. They said, don't you believe that He could leave us here for those 3.5 years and then rapture? Don't you believe in a mid-tribulation rapture? And I always quote, no. My God is not halfway. It's 7 years of tribulation. Even though the first 3.5 are not that bad, it's still the tribulation period. And so it's not a matter of what I mean, they're good men. We studied when I was in college. I can remember when we studied the book of the Revelation and the book of Daniel. My professor said, now look, you may do some studying when you write your papers. There's good men that believe that the rapture is at the end of the tribulation period. There are good men that believe that the rapture is in the middle of the tribulation period. And then he took a class or two and explained to us why it is not. If we really believe that Jesus is coming back, then we need to be busy for Him. Not just busy bodies, but busy for Him. There's work to be done before He comes back. And there are I've just got a lot of stuff here. But there are 2 points of this parable that I want to point out. The first point, it's not a point in the sermon, it's just a point of the parable. The first one is this. Look at verse 14. He said, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants. His own servants. His own servants. And delivered unto them his goods. The fact that we do anything for the Lord doesn't mean that He's lucky to have us. The fact that we do anything for the Lord means that when He saved us, He knew what He wanted us to accomplish. The servants, first point, the servants, you and I, will be judged by how well we use what He's given us. I hate to go to church. Listen, let me finish. I am not made to go to church. I'm made to preach. When I don't get to preach and I just have to go to church, I am miserable. For number one, I don't need it. Number two, He made me to preach. God is going to judge us based upon how we use what He gave us. So I'm not sure what He gave me. Then you better get alone with Him. Whether you take a Bible or not, you just say, dear Lord, I know You gave me something. Help me to find it. Help me to see. Everybody gets a gift. Everybody gets something they're supposed to use in the church. And you need to get along with God and figure that out. And if you're not doing that, you are slothful, you're slow. It means not that you're lost. It means that you're going to figure it out too late. I am supposed to be in Lakeville today. Tomorrow He may call me to the mission field. That's His business. Today, I'm supposed to be here, but I'm willing to do whatever He wants. If He gets my attention tomorrow and goes, you know what, I just feel like I want you on the mission field, I'm not going to say, they'll never be able to live without me in Lakeville. That's not my problem. My problem is doing what He made me to do, what He wants me to do. So you and I are going to be judged by how well we use what He gave us. Because it belongs to Him. My mouth is His. I'm supposed to use it for Him. And one day you and I will answer for what we did with the life. The life God gave you. And you may not figure everything out. You may not get all your gifts figured out. But He gave you life, and you ought to be using it for Him. I mean, tell people about Christ. You say, well, that's not my gift. Tell you what, doesn't have to be a gift. It's a command. Well, I'm just not comfortable witnessing to people. I'm not either. I'd rather say, want ice cream? I mean, everybody's for that. If they say they don't like ice cream, and you go, you want pie? Man, you tell someone, hey, if you died right now, you know you're going to heaven? Nobody wants to talk about that. Man, I remember the first time I was asked that. That turned me off. I didn't want to hear about that. But it's not a matter of my opinion. It's not a matter of what I think. I'm here to do what He made me to do. Number two, the thing that sticks out is not just that He'll judge me according to what He's given me, but number two, it's possible not to do what He told you to do. Say, huh? You heard me. Look at verse 26. Verse 26, he says, his Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest. Thou knewest. Every one of you sitting here tonight, you know you're supposed to do something with your life. There's something God gave you He wants you to use. People say a lot of things. I watch what they do. Oh, Pastor, I really love our church. And then they hardly show up. I don't go, well, but they really love our church. No, I base how they live. I don't go, well, they said that. A talent can represent a lot of things. Money. We always need money, don't we? You and I can wonder why one received 5 and one received 2 and one received 1. But I know in life that God isn't obligated to treat me like He treats anyone else. And He's not obligated to treat you like He treats me. So you can just have at it and go nuts trying to figure out, well, why did one get 5 and why did one get 2 and why did one get 1? I don't know. I'm not going to spend my time trying to figure out the theological situation on that. I just have to spend my time figuring out whatever I have, I need to use for Him. Why? Because He's coming back. And if He goes, well, you know, Ruley, I don't know if He'll call me Ruley. He may just call me Ruley, Pastor Ruley, V. Ruley. I don't know. He may say, you know what? You didn't do enough. Now I'm going to say, but Lord, I tried. Or He may say, hey, you know what, Ruley? You did too much. Well, Lord, I tried. You know, there's always someone above us. I know there's always some other pastor who's better, bigger church. That's not my issue. My issue is to do, remember what I said the other day about preachers have a hard time finding their identity, who they are, doing what they're supposed to do. We want to be like everybody else. Didn't you do that when you were a kid? Man, I've got pictures. When I was 3, I had a cowboy hat, cowboy guns. I still want to be a cowboy. After, what has it been, 20 years since I was 3, 30 years. I mean, I want to be a cowboy. There's somebody that's worse than you. And it's easy to look down on them because they're not. You may say, well, I'm a 5. And they may be a 2. Hey, God has given them the strength and the ability to handle you if it's you 5 and not 2. But this guy isn't better than any of that. Remember He said, you've been faithful. You read it. You've been faithful over what? A few things. Remember He said that? Remember He said when He got here, hey, you've been faithful over a few things. Remember that? Remember that? He said few things. He didn't say, wow, 5. You got 5 more? Wow, that's good. God sees us the same when we do what we're supposed to do. I don't sit around and go, oh, I can't believe we don't have a church of 5,000. That's going to be hard in Lakeville. I mean, we've got probably that many members in 30 years. And man, I've got 10,000 promises. We're coming. I'll run into them. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we're coming to church. I mean, they'll look me in the eye and go, we'll be there Sunday. I am doing everything I can not to yell, liar! Really? Just show up then. Follow me now, please. You can gripe about what you have or don't have. You can use it as an excuse, or you can get busy. Huh? You can say, well, you know what? I feel that I'm very talented. And God isn't impressed with the quality of your voice, your musical ability. Every moment we spend worrying about what God's doing is a wasted moment. Man, I'm just supposed to be busy. Look at me, look at me. You can sit around and wonder, why did he do that? Why did he allow that? Why would God do that? And then that takes away from what you should be doing. I don't know what God's doing. Man, I can't figure it out. But I know there's something that I'm supposed to do. The question isn't, what do I have? 521. The question isn't, how many do I have? The question is, what will I do with what I have? Will I be busy? Will I use my life? Singing is a gift from God, and doing with that gift is a gift to God. I want God to say to me, well done. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. But we talk about it, we testify, oh, Pastor, I want to die. I want God to say when I stand before Him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Really? Then we need to live like it. You can't just desire it. You've got to make a decision. The first two men doubled what they had. The third man started with one and ended with one. He was a phony. Unprofitable, the Bible, verse 30 calls him unprofitable. Unprofitable, that means he was useless. You never waste time when you serve the Lord. Man, you show up to church, that's never a waste of time. Never. You do what you got to do, that's never a waste. Find out what matters in life and then go and do it. Not everything matters. There's some stuff I'm just not going to get shook up about. It's not worth it. Doesn't matter. Have a headache, have a stroke. Time is short. Who knows how long I'll live? Who knows when the Lord will return? I love this saying. I've said it before. Maybe we should put it somewhere, but I love it. And I don't know who to attribute it to, but someone said this. A ship is safe when it's anchored in the harbor. But that's not what ships are for. We're all going to die or be raptured. And I don't want to die until I die. Hello? I don't want to die until I'm dead. I don't want to give up. I don't want to quit. I don't want to retire. I want to live doing everything I can for my Lord. I don't want to be slow. Servant, yeah. I don't want to be a slow servant. Your head bowed, your eyes closed. Every head bowed, every eye closed. Dear Father, we're tired. Life wears us out. Work wears us out. People wear us out. This world wears us out. Help us to keep going. Help us to serve you. Help us to be servants who do what we're supposed to do, who use what you've given us. Help us not to be slow servants. Help us to serve you like you're coming back at any moment. If you called and said, I'll be there in an hour, we'll be so busy. Because we want you to find us when you come back busy. Dear Lord, help us to be busy now. Because you might come back in 5 minutes. Help us not to be slow servants, I pray. Your head bowed, your eyes closed. Every head bowed, every eye closed. You say, preacher, tonight before I go, I don't want to be a slow servant. I want to use what God's given me. I want to worry about getting done what He wants me to get done and not about how much He's given me. If that's you, here's my hand. Preacher, that's me. Preacher, that's me. I need to get done what He wants me to do and not worry about trivial stuff. Last call. You haven't raised your foot up. Preacher, that's me. Preacher, that's me up and down. Preacher, that's me. Dear Father, I pray that we will be servants that you can look at and judge and say, well done. Well done, good